Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Sherry. You know, I want to just kind of get real with y'all a little bit, okay? Let's kind of touch on some things. As far as where I have been is right here. I haven't really went anywhere. You know, I just started comparing myself to like a lot of the bigger channels, and you know how they're doing things, and I can't keep up, y'all. It's just straight up, I can't. I'm a small YouTuber. I do personal vlogging. I am not a DIY channel. I am not a self-help channel. I am just me. I am more of a personal vlog. And I have gotten so many different reactions on my channel that I didn't know what else to do, so I just quit, I guess. You know, I was comparing myself to too many different things, too many different people, too many different channels. If I built something, I was getting backlash. You're doing it wrong, it's not legal, you can't do that. Or even some that try to bait me, like, what are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Tell me a little bit more. So if you tell me a little bit more, they can go straight to the building code departments or whoever they feel that they need to report to. So, you know, I was going to stop this video because I'm seeing like the camera's trying to adjust the light. But see, once again, if I stop it, then I'm staging it, and then it's not real. You know, I could, I don't know, set up a stage that's pretty and all of the fluffy stuff that comes with some of these YouTube channels. But that's not me. I'm just me. You know, you get on a homesteader, the homesteading channels. I'm not going to really call anybody out because I don't think that's fair. And maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But I do know a lot of them, or some of them, they do a lot of their staging. If you really think they're building this house by themselves, they're not. They're not. If you think they got a big, bountiful harvest, and you're comparing yourself to them, and that's not what it is. They probably go to the grocery store and buy an extra couple of tomatoes and celery, so you think that they're doing better. That's not me. I'm not here to like blow smoke up anybody's, well, you know, I'm just trying to do me and try to do it truthfully. You know, you could do a lot of things with YouTube. You could make your house seem bigger, your harvest better, your building is good. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what it is. And it's taken me a long time to realize this, is that my little channel doesn't have to be about the fluff and the fake and anything else that comes with these big YouTube channels. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? It's just me and Kaylee and the changes that we've gone through. You know, if you followed my channel for a few years, you've known that we have went through changes. I came out here from Denver to live in an off-grid tiny house, and I was doing wonderful. I was doing so good, right? And my channel was growing because I was focusing a lot on the tiny house. But in the meantime, a big bad wolf came, and I should say, I hate saying a big bad wolf, but in my journey of trying to find my niche in life, I got, or I came into contact. I'm trying to make this as best as I can where I'm not upsetting the apple cart. See, once again, I'm worried about what people are going to think, so let's just get real. Let's be truthful. I met a gentleman who was not a gentleman by any means. I was in and out of the court systems for 2 years. I won. You know, that's just it. I was faced with this great big huge monster, should I say. he had once told me, he's like, I'm not a narcissist. I have been diagnosed, or I was being diagnosed as a narcissist, but then I thought empathy, so I'm not a narcissist. Well, all narcissists lie, right? So just because he was showing empathy, what he was showing was a false person. You know what I'm saying? So I was awarded a 10-year restraining order. Thank goodness. It took a lot to get that. Believe me, it took a lot. I learned a lot of things through that. You know what I'm saying? He went back to my family and was telling people back in Denver that I was a drug user, that I was sleeping around. I became a hooker. I became a meth head. I was doing sexual favors for the police department out here. And I let it really bother me. But that wasn't the truth. You know what I'm saying? So I was letting somebody else's reality become mine, and it wasn't my reality. My reality was just trying to survive, you know, trying to stay safe. You know what I'm saying? As a single female and moving out here to a mountain where I really knew anybody, I really didn't. And I had to pick my battles. And the battles that I were picking were the wrong battles. You know what I'm saying? So I am growing. I am learning that I don't have to pretend that I am this perfect YouTube channel, because I'm not. We are not. After the court hearings, you know, the 2 years, I had met Tim, and I had rented out my little tiny house to someone I thought I knew. And she completely destroyed it. There was roaches, bed bugs, dog feces, all throughout my tiny house, where I had no other choice but to burn it down. You know, and it's really funny because I can remember this big monster, I'll just refer to him as narcissist. The narcissist had once told me, I will burn you down. You know what? He might not have done it directly himself, but my house did get burned down. But that was something I chose to do. I did that, not him. You feel me? So that's where that had went. You know, a lot of people were saying, well, what happened, Sherry? What actually happened? What happened is I got caught up in legal systems for 2 years. It's really funny, you know, because he came up to me, he offered to marry me twice. And it's really funny, the second time he wanted to marry me so I can get a valid driver's license. That's not a reason to marry someone so you can get a valid driver's license, right? Especially for a female, and I'm glad I didn't fall into that. 4 months later, after he had left the mountain, he had married a little girl. I don't want to, you know, I'm trying to keep it real and not. See what I'm doing right now, and people, honey, what I'm doing right now is trying to spare someone's feelings. Well, whose feelings am I sparing? His? He certainly wasn't sparing my feelings, right? So 4 months after he had proposed, he married a little girl, and they were married, I don't know, very short period. I don't know. I really didn't keep track. I do know that was my lawyers and myself, or even friends that were doing background checks and coming up with anything that we could for the 10-year restraining order, we had found out that he had been married eight previous times. So I guess a narcissist just goes around and they collect marriages, right? So this little girl would have made him his ninth. Thank goodness it wasn't me. I'm glad I was smart enough to do that. So let's fast forward a little bit. So I met Tim, and he took me off the mountain. He came over. The very first time Tim came over, he wasn't, I'm not trying to put this, he wasn't degrading. There I go. He wasn't degrading me. He wanted to help me. So the first time that Tim came over, he noticed that my electrical line was running across my driveway. The very following day, he came over and he dug a trench and he buried that line. So he was there to help me. He wasn't there to hinder me. He wasn't there for anything but just to be my friend. And in a world that we live in, friendships are really hard to come by. True friendships are hard to come by. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? So, things progress. Someone wanted to ask me, now a squirrel. So, someone had asked if they didn't know how I had met Tim. So, let's go back to how I met Tim. See, we're really getting real, y'all. So, how I met Tim is at the time, I used to work at a gas station as a cashier. And that's how I met Tim. I had some regulars that had a breakfast club, as we would refer to them, and they were all the men on the mountain who would go up to the store every day and have coffee and order breakfast. Well, one of my customers was Tim's nephew, and he had invited Tim to come in for a cup of coffee. And Tim came in, and lo and behold, he sees me. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? So I guess it was a good thing, because Tim and I eventually started dating. Our very first date, official date, was at the church. We brought the church into our relationship first and foremost. It was the church, you know, and my church family has been great supporters for me, y'all. They really have. So let's fast forward. Tim and I had hooked up, and Tim comes to me and he goes, I'm going to buy you a house. I'm going to buy us a house. And I'm thinking, oh, well, I have a house. I have this little tiny house. It didn't have heat besides a propane heater. My water I would carry in. The toilet was a composting toilet, which was fine. It's fine. I like that life. Tim did not. And Tim had even made a statement to me one time as, what kind of man would I be if I left you in this situation? And it really hit hard. It hit home. And so we bought this beautiful house. I kept on saying different footages as we go by. And it is actually 1750 square footage, according to our insurance. So 1,750 square feet. And I came out of less than a 200 square foot little tiny house. So, yeah, and Tim and I were doing really good, and I kept telling Tim I really missed my tiny house. And I did. I missed my tiny house. So, as we're getting older, right? Let's go back. As we're getting older, all of our doctor's appointments and lawyers and whatnot are all an hour away. We live in a very rural area of Arkansas. It is classified as rural. So we have to drive an hour and a half to where we need to take care of any business. So I thought to myself, I got an idea. Let's build a tiny house there. And so that's what we did. We did not build it. It's actually a shed conversion that we are doing right now, and it is up on Crowley's Ridge. I can be at any doctor's office within, I don't know, which is St. Bernard's Regional Hospital. It's a really big hospital. From the tiny house to the hospital, I can be there in just minutes. I'm not saying like 2 minutes or 4 minutes. I'm talking more like within 20 minutes I can be there versus an hour and a half, right? So that's where we're at now. It is still being set up. You know, we don't film the tiny house a whole lot because it's winter. And in Arkansas, we get snow, but we get more rain and ice. And the road to the tiny house is not paved. Not the last time, I thought like a couple of times ago. Not funny. A couple of times ago, we got stuck. And so Tim was out trying to put, that's not true. Our neighbor came and his son were trying to push us out of the mud. I didn't think. I was in the passenger side, right? The passenger seat. The window was rolled down. The mud, you know, as tires are rotating, the mud came up into the window and covered me from here to down, covered in mud. The dashboard, the seat belts, the seat, covered in mud. And I thought, I'm not going to do this again. So now we just kind of go to the tiny house when the weather permits. There you go. Until we can get the driveway taken care of, which hopefully will be soon. And so let's go back to the new tiny house, okay? So as we're doing, you know, the sewage and the water, I've had people come in and say, how are you doing it? Why are you doing it this way? That's not legal. The legal way is to do it this way. Well, I'm going to tell you something right now, y'all. Thank you for the help. I appreciate you. Now go and take care of your own backyard and leave mine alone. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? I don't want to upset anybody. That's not what this video is about. This is about being real. This is about keeping it real. This is where we have been. So I'm no longer going to be scared, I guess. Or not scared, but timid and tiptoeing around other channels so I don't upset the apple cart. Y'all, I'm ready to upset that apple cart. You know what I'm saying? I am going to be a little bit more diligent in what I share. And, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not here to have a littler channel bring me down to their level. I'm not here to have a channel that's a little bit higher than me, like here, you know what I'm saying? Then these little channels up here come in and say, well, you should have did this, you should have did that. You tend to your journey, I'll stick to my journey. Everybody's journey is different. This is mine. This is keeping it real. I am not going to sugarcoat anything anymore for anybody. You know, I have a birthday in a week. Yay! And believe it or not, I'll be 63 years old. I am not afraid to say that. I look beautiful for 63. You know, I look at some people and they say, oh, she's 58. And I think, oh my goodness, bless her heart. What happened to her? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, everyone, thank you for keeping it real and letting me keep it real. I wanted to give everybody an update. Tim and I are doing wonderful. Things are going good. Oh, one thing I do want to share with you that's so super exciting. So, you know, both Tim and I were diagnosed as being alpha gal. We got bit by the Lone Star tick and made us allergic to red meat. And I'm not saying just red meat in general. It's like our shampoo, our conditioner, anything that was made with bone char or had mammal in it, we cannot have. So, no more dyeing my hair because of the chemicals. I became very fume reactive. Tim did not, but I did. But anyway, let's get back to the good news. There is a doctor in Tulsa, Oklahoma, whose success rate is 98.8% success rate. Our appointment is in February, and we'll go in and get an acupuncture electrolyte. I don't know. It sounds kind of Asian to me. Let's hope she's an Asian doctor. I'm really excited. We'll keep you informed how that goes. And in the meantime, everyone, thank you for letting me keep it real. Have a wonderful day.